Right, okay, so here we have Richard, Rachel, Dave and Dan, who are going to discuss the assessed learning outcomes that formed part of the assignment. So let's start with assessed learning outcome number 1. Just butt in when you think you've got something to say. The first one was that you needed to demonstrate your understanding and analysis of a range of theories, principles and applications of formal and informal assessment and their roles in learning and evaluation. How do you think you hit that?
I'll start. I think when we first grouped, this was probably the hardest thing for us to try and interpret. I think this is where we got slightly confused about how we wanted to structure things to incorporate this ALO 1. I think from our research, we found that the different theories and different styles can be from formal to informal to summative to formative, and there's just so many ways, and I think that's why we pinpointed and tried to look at a structure which included a diverse amount of assessment strategies, and I think that's how, when we realised and got the idea for the website and also for the presentation of a driving school, that really catered for all of those different styles and incorporated quite a few of the theories that we'd researched. So I think that's why we went along those routes, so it was quite broad.
Okay, anyone got anything to add to that?
That's pretty good.
Okay, so are we going to make Rachel do all the talking in this discussion?
We did look at the sort of breakdown initially of informal and formal assessment anyway, didn't we? And then we broke that down into criteria and norm reference, etc. So we used those we stated our purpose at the beginning of the website, and then from that we then took the application of those further into Dave's driving, I suppose.
We also looked at the forum. There's quite a good one, the forum site that we did, where all those people on our course participated in. Where what styles of assessment do we use on Moodle?
The assessment task that was on Moodle.
Yeah, and we actually looked through that to, I think, ensure that we had a diverse and quite large variation of assessment.
Okay, so that's assessed learning outcome 1 covered. Assessed learning outcome 2, demonstrate your understanding and analysis of the significance of equality and diversity issues for the assessment of learning. Who would like to answer this one?
Again, it's providing information on our webpage about which incorporates the equality and diversity methods through interview and application forms and the assessment methods.
So we took, basically in summary, I suppose we took each element of assessment and then we looked at how that method of assessment and its application sort of met equality and diversity issues, or had issues with it in regards to equality and diversity, and then we also looked at it in our own practice as well, and we charted it beneath for every single form of assessment.
I think that's how we've really tackled the ALOs in this, is that we wanted to keep it fun and we wanted to be the problem learning base and create a different form of media with the website, but the charts, we did find it an easy way to make it formal in a sense that we were hitting all of those criteria. So I think that's why we really wanted to pinpoint the quality and diversity, pinpoint how we use assessment, and pinpoint how we can action it and use it or improve on it further.
Because I think also just taking equality and diversity and then just applying that to formal and informal assessment is too broad a topic. You need to break it down into the individual assessments and look at them individually, and then look at the equality and diversity issues for each of those individual assessments.
Okay, anyone got anything else to add to that one?
No, not really. So I guess using the 6 strands is quite good, because I think we looked at that with everyone. Assessment, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely.
And I think even though some of them, you are going to maybe come across issues with the 6 strands in some forms, because we've used quite a broad range of assessments to show how you can achieve an end goal, or an end that even though you can't maybe hit it exactly in one, there's clear evidence that you'd be able to have it or meet it freely in another. I just think we've tried to get quite a broad range, so it's practical based and also theory based, and so everyone can have a go.
Yeah.
Okay.
We particularly had two different styles. Richard was very, very confident and he was going to sail through, but he found the writing quite difficult. And then we had Rachel, who was very, very nervous at driving, but quite confident doing the paperwork. So we had a contrast there.
A range of students for the mock
yeah.
driving school. Okay. So assessed learning outcome 3. I don't know where I point the camera when I'm reading these out. I've pointed at Richard this time, I think. The next assessed learning outcome you had to cover was assessed learning outcome number 6, which is to demonstrate your understanding and analysis of how to evaluate and improve own assessment practice.
I think, as I said earlier, I think we clearly tried to do that by charting each different assessment and looking at our own practice and how we could improve on it. So again, from every single assessment that we've shown on our website, we have got charted evidence of what it is, what sort of assessment it is, how we each use it and how we each can improve or how we feel we can improve on it.
So individually you've all mentioned how these forms of assessment can be used in your own subject area,
yes.
in
and
real
how
life,
we,
as it
how
were?
we use them now in our different subject areas.
We try to keep it quite simple as well,
Yeah.
by putting it in like a box at the bottom, so in each how we use the method and then how we can improve.
And it's just listed by name, so it's quite easy to see who's said what.
So that's a very clear one to assess and look at, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, there were a couple of other assessed learning outcomes that you also needed to look at. ALO 8, which is develop and evidence knowledge, understanding and practical skills in relation to assessment within own subject areas and develop action plans.
Again, I think that's clear on our charted evidence. All of those relate to our style, but they also clearly evaluate what we could improve on. And I think that's why we were quite keen to get those charts clear on each assessment form. So on each assessment on the site, we have individually gone in and looked at our own.
Okay, brilliant, so that covers that nicely. And finally, you need to cover ALO 7, which is to add to professional development plans strategies for improving assessment and the use of assessment data to inform learning in relation to subject pedagogy.
Yeah, I think this is our individual learning plan, I believe, and that's something that we would all be doing individually. And that is basically just referencing anything that we prefer, which obviously is part of another one of the criterias, which would be done automatically.
So hopefully you've all added something to your IDP.
We have
IDP, it's
IDP.
another acronym, to your IDP, explaining how you would, she reads it again, how you would add strategies for improving your own assessment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, all done that? I'll be checking those when you hand them in.
Yes.
Okay, that's all of them covered. Before we finish the film, I want you to just all group together for me, please, like a family shot. All of you, all of you, come on, let's zoom out. And after 3, I just want you to all say Dave's driving school, please. So on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3.
Dave's driving school.